Good evening. Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying says the development of Lantau will help ease the pressure on shopping and tourist facilities in the urban area. He also says Hong Kong and the mainland will try to come up with ways to slow tourist growth here. Rani Samtani has our top story.
The project to build a border crossing facility for the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge is well underway. The proposed Hong Kong boundary crossing facilities will be located on an artificial island off Lantau. This morning, the chief executive, along with Secretary for Transport and Housing Anthony Cheung and Secretary for Development Paul Chan, visited the site.
When the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge is completed in a couple of years' time, Lantau would be part of the thoroughfare connecting the main areas of Hong Kong and Kowloon and the western parts of the Pearl River Delta. The development of Lantau Island and its vicinity will be able to help address the question of increasing pressure on existing shopping and commercial areas in Hong Kong and Kowloon.
The chief executive added that the government is studying ways to handle the influx of mainland tourists and will announce possible measures after consulting mainland authorities. He also expressed concern about the environmental impact of the development projects, specifically on dolphins in Lantau's waters. Officials stress dolphin sightings are rare in the area where the border crossing is being built. Construction of the artificial island is expected to be completed in 2016. The project costs more than $30 billion. The government says it will conduct a study on developing the island later this year. The 130-hectare artificial island at the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge boundary crossing will provide hotels, shopping, dining, and entertainment facilities. Other development projects on Lantau include extending the Tung Chung New Town, the third runway and the North Commercial District at the airport, reclamation at Siu Ho Wan and Sunny Bay, and the development of an East Lantau metropolis on an artificial island. Rani Samtani, TVB News.
Pan-Democrats meeting central government officials in Shanghai next weekend on political reform are telling the people of Hong Kong not to expect too much from the talks. Evelyn Leung has more.
A show of force by top officials today. Chief Secretary for Administration Carrie Lam led a group of government officials to promote the Basic Law and political reform. They were on board a double-decker bus that traveled to areas such as Siu Sai Wan, Chai Wan and Tin Hau. However, their campaign was marred by protests. Groups such as the League of Social Democrats and Scholarism called for civil nomination of candidates in the 2017 chief executive election. Lam once again stressed political reform must comply with the Basic Law. She said any proposal must not undermine the power of the nominating committee. Meanwhile, pan-democratic lawmakers who will travel to Shanghai next weekend to meet with Beijing officials on political reform warned the people of Hong Kong not to have too much hope.
Please don't expect too much. We think we can't have got too many things for one meeting. I think the first meeting, we hope that at least we have a direct dialogue with the Beijing officials and we can exchange our opinions and ideas.
Feng hopes both sides will continue to meet and come to a consensus. But there's still no word yet on whether the Pan-Democrats will hold a separate meeting with central government officials. The Pan-Democrats said they still haven't decided exactly which political reform proposals they plan to present to the Beijing officials. They pointed out they simply want Beijing to understand they will not accept any screening of candidates in the 2017 chief executive election. Evelyn Lang, TVB News.
South Korea today summoned the Japanese ambassador to Seoul to lodge a formal complaint about the content in a Japanese elementary school textbook. The move came after a Japanese educational committee approved textbooks that claim disputed islands in waters between Japan and South Korea as sovereign Japanese territory. The islands, known as Dokdo in Korea and Takeshima in Japan, are claimed by both countries but currently occupied by South Korea. Japan's ambassador to Seoul met with South Korea's first vice minister to discuss the situation. China lodged an objection too, saying Japan should face up to its history. A statement from the Foreign Ministry also reasserted Beijing's claim to the islands known as the Diaoyus in China and the Senkakus in Japan.
At least one person is dead after an apartment building collapsed in the city of Fenghua in Zhejiang province. 15 of the 40 apartments in the 5-story building collapsed this morning, burying residents inside. A number of people have been pulled from the rubble alive, but one woman died later in hospital. Fenghua's deputy mayor said the building was identified as a dangerous structure last year. Residents had been reporting instability in the structure. The safety inspection called for reinforcement work, but not an evacuation. The search for survivors continues.
The hunt for missing Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 is entering a new phase. With time running out to find the plane's black boxes, the focus of the search is shifting underwater. James Aitken reports.
Until now, the search for the missing plane is focused on the surface of the vast southern Indian Ocean. The hope has been to locate actual debris from the plane, but so far that hasn't happened.
I think there's still great possibility of finding something on the surface. There's lots of things in aircraft that float. I mean, in previous searches, life jackets have appeared, which can be connected to the aircraft that was lost.
During a tour of the Search Coordination Centre today, Australia's Prime Minister acknowledged officials simply have no idea how long the hunt will continue.
Probably the most difficult search that's ever been mounted. A large aircraft seems like something that would be easy enough to locate, but a large aircraft that all but disappeared and disappeared into inaccessible oceans is an extraordinary challenge.
So searchers are now going underwater. The goal is to find the plane's black boxes, which contain critical flight information. They also contain a locator beacon. A U.S. Navy high-tech black box locator is being deployed to find that signal. The towed pinger locator will be pulled behind a Navy ship and will search a stretch of ocean along with a survey ship. But the clock is ticking. The beacon is designed with a limited battery life.
On best advice, the locator beacon will last about a month before it ceases its transmissions. So we're now getting pretty close to the time when it might expire.
The beacon locator also has a limited range and must be pulled slowly. Officials have warned it may be of little use unless investigators can get a better idea of exactly where the plane went down. That means the massive search effort above the surface will continue. Today, 14 planes and 9 ships scoured the remote seas off the coast of Australia, with just days left before the beacon's batteries are expected to run out. James Aitken, TVB News.
Ukraine's interim authorities have accused fugitive former President Viktor Yanukovych of ordering snipers to open fire on protesters during February's violent demonstrations that left more than 100 people dead. They also accuse Yanukovych of getting help from Russian security agents to battle his own people. Alan Buchner reports.
The Ukrainian Interior Ministry released video that shows gunmen who appear to be police officers wearing balaclavas with rifles in Kiev. This overhead shot shows what appears to be armed police officers firing into a crowd of demonstrators. A Ukrainian government spokesman says security officials then moved in to cover up evidence, burning clothes and documents and discarding weapons. Vitaly Kostash was shot in the head and back during the protests, and 2 of his friends were killed. He said the worst thing was the indifference of the police. He said they were targeting the most politically conscious, the most intelligent of the demonstrators. The head of the Ukrainian security service charged that Yanukovych personally ordered the killings. Valentin Nalyvichenko said 12 members of an elite riot police unit have been detained on suspicion of shooting protesters. Yanukovych fled from Kiev to Russia right after the riots. In his first interview since then, he said yesterday he never gave orders to shoot. He said the special troops were fulfilling their functions in defending state institutions and buildings. Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, also weighed in on the claims. He said he wouldn't judge on how precise the evidence is, and the truth should be established in a transparent way. He also accused NATO of violating a 1997 agreement with Russia by boosting its forces in Eastern Europe. NATO was quick to dismiss the accusation.
This is just another piece of Russian propaganda, and I'm actually surprised that Russia can claim that NATO has violated its commitments, because Russia is violating every principle and international commitment it has made. First and foremost, the commitment not to invade other countries.
NATO wants to have military plans in place by April 15th to bolster defense for Eastern European countries. Alan Bookniat, TVB News.
And still ahead in the news tonight. Revelations of a US-led Twitter-like network to destabilize Cuba. The Thunder ends the Spurs' long winning streak. And longtime talk show host David Letterman retiring.